Right, that's right. You should be afraid of the spoon. Yeah, I'll ward you away with my spoon. My magical spoon. Yeah. Take that, Annie. Take that. Sorry, just wafting Annie away with a spoon there. I have Nero and Uber. They've both come up this morning. Uber's going to have a pamper with Leisa. And Nero, I'm going to give him a tidy up. I'm also going to redress his wound now, which is just on his leg here. So as you can see, it's quite red this morning, but on the plus side, it's not as open as it was because there's more flesh there now instead of an open wound. So it is healing nicely. Hey, come on. It's just going to take a little while, but I'm even thinking I might pop some Manuka honey on that today, and then we're going to rewrap it for a little bit, because we're kind of alternating having it wrapped and then having it not wrapped, because sometimes wrapping it's helpful, but other times we all know sometimes it's just better to have the air to a wound or a cut to help it heal. Go as well. You will have seen him go to grab the pressure halter there with his mouth from the hook and me telling him off for that, and now I've told him off, he's resting, he's just gone, all right then. And that's all part of kind of the discipline and him learning that I know you all love him, and so do I, and I know he's adorable and that his cheekiness is hilarious, but there does become a point where he has to grow up just a little bit. You know, his eccentric and playful character is who he is, and we love that, and it's always, to an extent, is going to be who he is, which is lovely, but within that he also does need to learn kind of, you know, respect and boundaries and where that behaviour is and is not acceptable. For example, when he stood here at the tie-up points, here's Leisa with the jug. It's okay. Sorry. See, people do that. Whenever they pop out on a video, you just see them retreat. It's not safe. Yeah, Freya, can you give us a spin? Wait, sorry, in a minute. I was on a tangent. Give me a minute, everybody. The information in my brain that I was about to relay will return. Aye. Oh yes, they all have to learn to stand at these tie-ups nice and relaxed and just kind of switch off, but in a chilled way. So Nero needs to learn that not to fidget, not to be grabbing things with his mouth from places, not to be breaking benches, just not to be doing anything mischievous. He just needs to learn to stand here and relax, whether he's having attention or not, because all of the others, you know, they could stand here up for an hour and two up for an hour, just super chilled, and just not fidgeting or anything. And that's the point we need Nero to get to. And it's also him learning as well, that he's quite mouthy as a personality. I mean, Nero, that you've probably seen him in the background, you know, grabbing onto people's hoods and the zips of people's jackets, and every time, you know, we walk by his nose, he's there trying to grab something in a playful, cheeky way. And again, that's lovely, but there becomes a point where we need to kind of lay some more boundaries around that, because at the moment it's cute because he's only 6, but as he gets older, he needs to learn from now that he can't just grab onto everything and everyone. He needs to have more respect for our personal space and not put everything in his mouth. So it's just gently reminding him that when he does that, it's not all about him every 5 seconds, and he doesn't need to, you know, take it back, Nero, good boy, kind of encroach on everybody all of the time. Just because it's just about respect, boundaries and manners, and just getting him to become a little more mature. No, don't chew me. We do not chew our friends. Other than Kathleen the carrot, we do not chew our friends. Good boy. Good boy. There we go. Because it's lovely to have that interaction and to have them friendly, and he's always going to be like that. Good lad. Good boy. But within reason. We don't want people coming onto the yard and straight away, you know, our horse is just, you know, stepping right into them and right in your personal space, like, hi, I'm here. Okay, yes, to an extent, Shao does that in the field, which she shouldn't do, but that's why with him we're laying those boundaries now, because otherwise, you know, we're going to end up with, not that we would here, but this is where you could end up with kind of quite a pushy, disrespectful horse, even though they're really sweet and they do it because they're lovely, but they're still pushy and disrespectful with it. So that's why we're laying down the boundaries. And you look at him now. Now, I kept on telling him no, you know, right now I just want a bit of space, and now he's just kind of chilled out and switched off. And then when I want to talk to him, hello, you just go, hello Nero, and we just go like this, yes, because I love talking to you, and you can be a bit mouthy like that, but not without, you know, you have to ask first. Ask first. Yes, and don't always encroach on space. Don't always encroach on space. Go on. There we go. Good boy. Behind me here we have the hair salon. So Uber is having his main wash because Freya is growing his hair and her nails at the same time. Look at that.
Yeah. Come in. Yeah, slowly.
And Freya's in the office today, so she's wearing a daffodil, no it's not daffodil, sunflower skirt, which is very elegant. So there we go. So I'm gonna, as I said, groom Nero, clean up his wound, and then I'm just gonna leave him to stand here for a little bit so he can watch the world go by and learn that it's not all about him. And even when he's not having attention, you see even now he scraped a little bit and no one came running, so he's resting, and it's just repeating that. I mean, at the moment it'll be slightly easier to teach him the lesson today because he's tired from the field, whereas on a day where he was on one and he'd just come out the box in the morning, he'd be a little higher energy. Nero's back in the round pen now. There he is, groomed, nice and clean, having stood at the tie-ups, leg redressed with a bit of rainbow. And he's just done a little bit of groundwork as well. Probably only took him in the arena for literally about 10 minutes. And originally I thought, oh, maybe I'll walk a few poles with you just on the ground, just to help you with your proprioception and get you picking your feet up. But actually we didn't do any of that because what we were working on was, so we were working on the exercise whereby you're kind of leading the horse around, you're facing them like this, they're in front of you. So you're facing them like this, they're in front of you here, and as you can see there's a distance between you both, so kind of the distance of the rope. And the idea is that they follow you like exactly straight, so his shoulders are kind of, or his chest is kind of straight where my chest and where my hips are, so they're straight. Whereas as I was leading, so ideally you need to be leading your horse like this, so the horse is literally tracking up right where you're tracking up in your line. Whereas when I was leading Nero, what I noticed he was doing, and it was very subtle, he wasn't being offensively pushy or anything, but as I was leading him along, he'd kind of take his chest and his shoulders slightly to the side of me, and that's him being a little bit cheeky there, because what's that's him going to try and like sneak around the side of me and to potentially kind of start walking over the top of me a little bit or encroaching on my space in another way. So what I kept on doing was just sending him back a step to go no, and then just kind of just sending his chest across just slightly, just to kind of get him back where he needs to be here. So then we're walking like this again, and then he kind of drift here, and then we stop, back, here. So it's like every time he tries to come here, we stop, I send him back, get him back here, we walk again here, nope, stop, back, get you back here. So that he's learning right from the get-go that he can't just kind of sneak around the side, he needs to be nice, straight and aligned. So we did that in the arena for a little bit, and then like I said 10 minutes max, and then I even did it leading him out the arena to the round pen. And I noticed as soon as I took him out the arena, his demeanor then changed slightly, and that's quite common with our horses, is because we take them in the arena and that's the space where we're disciplined and we make them kind of, not make them, that's the wrong term, but we get them to apply respect for personal space and stuff like that, and we're really, you know, we're really consistent with them. And then we go up the arena and we're like, great, do whatever you want now. And no, we have to be consistent. Obviously, you know, we don't need to be on their case all the time, and not that we are anyway. And to an extent they need to learn in the arena is the space where they listen, because that's, you know, where training takes place and that's where they learn. But on the other hand, our horses need to know that the lessons and the principles we apply in the arena apply everywhere else too. It's not just a case of they listen in the arena, but as soon as you're going down the field, they don't care about you anymore or what you have to say, because they're just going to walk all over you or mow you over or go over the top of you or in front of you. No, the boundaries have to apply there as well. And it's so important we do lay them down, because our horses, they are herd animals, therefore they have a leader. And if we're not going to be their leader, well, who is? They need that leader, and they feel far more safer and more secure when we establish ourselves as that. But that's enough about Nero for today though, because this is not the All About Nero show. I mean, he thinks it is and he'd love it to be, but it's not. It's actually not the All About Anja show either. So, you know, let's go and stand with Hidda, because Obviously Nero features quite a lot on here and everybody loves him, and that's amazing. We love him too, and you've all supported him so much throughout his journey, which has been incredible, and we wouldn't have been able to give him a home here without all of you, so thank you so much for that. But there are 14 other Friesians here, and sometimes I do think Neil steals the limelight a little bit, so that's where I'm going to aim in the future videos I make, to kind of get across the personalities more in depth of the others and kind of more one-on-one sections with them, because ultimately I love the fact that Nero has his fan club, and that, you know, Nero, he's only 6, he can't be getting a big head. Going back and going off on a bit of a tangent here, but with the horses coming in, especially on the sanctuary scheme, sometimes on our part there's maybe a little bit of guilt there, I suppose, because we've got the other 14 here that sometimes we still don't have as much time to do things with them or give them as much attention as we quite like, and then as soon as we get a newer horse in, let's say, who perhaps requires more attention and more of our time because either they're younger or they have some kind of issue that needs dealing with, on our part we always feel a bit guilty, because then all of a sudden, you know, we're like, well, we've got all of you and you've been here longer, but there's this new one here that we've got to do all these things with, and it is hard. And that's like with Nero today. At the moment he's only at the stage where he just needs to do bits little and often to learn, and with his hotkeys as well, he's not physically in a capacity at the moment to do anything intense, and that's fine. But not only that, I wouldn't want to necessarily prioritise him as one to work with at this stage, because I have Xiaoqia, Yolanda and Hannes who have been here with me longer, we've been through more together, and yes, they're all as important as each other, but what I'm getting at is, you know, I think especially with me, I kind of think they have to kind of earn things, you know, that there's a little bit of a kind of unspoken hierarchy. It's like even with free reining, that's a privilege that has to be kind of earned. And you know, we don't, you know, I'm not saying Nero's some kind of second-class citizen, because he's not, but it's like one day he'll get all of that, but he has to kind of earn it first, if that makes sense. And don't get me wrong, they all get the same love and care here and everything, but it's just there are certain privileges and stuff that are kind of earned, because it's like Renska, you take her, she's just an absolute icon and she's done so much over the years. Ditto with Hannes, Annie, Hida, Hoitzer, you know, and then the younger ones, they're kind of the, you know, the up and coming, and all of the kind of free reining and stuff like that, that kind of comes later on in the journey. I hope I've explained that concept well enough, because I don't want anyone to be getting the wrong ideas or to think, well, that's not right. But to me, in my head, I just think of it, we love them all equally and they are all equal, but the older ones kind of, they do rule a roost. They potentially get a little bit more attention, because, you know, Hida and Annie are obviously up here all the time, as is Hoitzer at the top there, and they kind of do, but that'll come for all of the younger ones in time when they're at that age and that at that stage of their life. But for now, you know, they have to learn the boundaries, the manners, that it's not all about them. And it's a bit like a tribe, okay? Think about it. Hida, Hoitzer, Annie are like the elders, and then underneath them we probably have, well, actually Mabel's an elder as well, strictly speaking, but she's an unusual elder. So is Huber, but he's also an unusual elder. And then kind of beneath that we have like Yodel, I'm thinking now, oh, Hannes is an elder too, actually, yeah. There's Yodel, there's Micah, there's Doutzen, and then there's the others, and then there's Nero, because he's only just got here and he's only 6. You get me. Been on a beard trimming tangent. Here's Ice, and as for his personality, he's a disgusting little boy. Jodie is his custodial mother and guardian, and Lisa is his appointed auntie.
Cleaner.
Appointed cleaner. Well, I was going to say auntie, but if you want to be cleaner, you can be cleaner. And you were appointed as his cleaner auntie in the eyes of the big man in the sky himself. Whether that's God, the universe, or whatever you choose to believe in. Whatever you choose to believe in is fine. But anyway, he's just having a wash because he is the most disgusting little creature in the whole wide world. In the whole wide world. Jody likes to give him little pigtails, which make him look very cute. But he likes to have greasy hair and this dirty little tail. And he likes to roll around in the mud, which is why his rug is brown. And he just has no regard or care in the world for his own personal hygiene. He also likes to kind of slouch in his posture. Like, he is actually a very athletic, modern Friesian creature. But when he stands in the day-to-day, he kind of slouches a little bit, like... like this. He's like, can't be bothered to hold myself up. But when Jody gets on him and presses all the right buttons, he becomes an athlete. And in his little face as well, I always think he has quite cheeky, slightly defiant little eyes. Because he is quite cheeky and slightly defiant in some ways. He's just a typical boy. If he was a person, he'd just sit inside playing the Xbox all day, and he'd constantly be in trouble with his mum because he didn't do his homework. And I call him Peanut because he has this tiny little head in the shape of a peanut. See, he has quite a peanut head, and whenever you go down to the field, like, I often go and do Hannes's eye in the field because it needs daily treatment, and I'm stood there doing Hannes's eye, then all of a sudden, a tiny little peanut head just appears over my shoulder, and it's just here, like, hi. It's like, Ice, mate, this moment is not about you, not about you. And then so I send him away, and then he appears around the other side, hi, and he just forces himself upon people. And as for little Hannes, he is of course the original angel boy, little angel eyes. And he was, you know, he is of Facebook fame, basically. You know, you are a big man on Facebook and TikTok. He once got 4 million views on a TikTok because Hannes has taken brides down to the wedding, or to some weddings. He's pulled both the carriage in his day and he's taken brides to the wedding on his back, which he's perfect for because he's a very pretty little boy. Although it does just mean that he upstages absolutely everybody there. And the groom is no longer the best looking man because, you know, Hannes is in town. Yes. And he can be quite cheeky as well. Like, that's why he doesn't go free rein that much anymore, because he just starts running around everywhere. He's just shaking his little face because the flies are out. And then one time, I walked around on him with a screwdriver in his mouth, and now he was fine and unharmed from this incident, and we don't leave objects lying around for the horses to find. This was just a one-off where someone had left it out and Hannes thought it'd be funny to put it in his mouth. I was like, Hannes, what's that? I thought, because he often just like puts whole packets of Polos in his mouth when he finds them, and then he eats the paper and everything, which again isn't ideal, but it is self-inflicted. So anyway, I thought it was just a packet of Polos, and I go and I put my hand, because I could hear it, like, I was like, what is that? So I put my hand in my mouth, and I'm like, his mouth, and I'm like, Hannes, that is an entire screwdriver. Yeah, that's also why whenever he goes free rein, the first thing he does is, because he knows that the treats aren't kept around this corner anymore, but they used to be. So the first thing he does when he goes free rein is he comes over here, knocks kind of everything out, get the pens on the floor. I think this is where he got the screwdriver from, actually. So nobody else touches this area. Nobody. They just stand here and look into the feed room. But not Hannes. Hannes likes to have a ratch through things, put things in his mouth, drop things. So if he ever goes free rein, the first thing I do, completely clear this here. I put everything away to safety. Safety of what's here, and for the safety of Hannes, because we do actually take our horses' safety seriously. And just a disclaimer for any keyboard warriors wanting to come at me for Hannes having a screwdriver in his mouth once. It was a one-off incident. We learnt from that, and it was his own fault because he shouldn't be ratching through that. He'd be like that child that you'd have to have like stair gates and safety locks, everything, because as a small child, he'd be like a little toddler that runs around everywhere, that was just into everything and was on a constant sugar rush. Now, you know, he's still a bit cheeky from time to time, but he's a mature man. A mature man. Yes. And at the moment as well, within the work that he's doing, I haven't got on him for a few weeks actually, and I still don't want to, just because I feel he's quite stiff at the moment, and with who he is as a horse and how he's put together and the wear and tear on him, he's always going to be stiff and tight to an extent. But I just feel like I could get him more loose and supple before I get on him again, which is what I want to do. I just want to get him stretching, flexing and a bit looser before I start taking him out again. So I think maybe this week, might take him out at the end of this week, not quite sure. I'll just see how he gets on, but no, always stretching him first. So here's Hida and Uber doing their man things. So they are a little bit kinky for each other, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Hida often comes and bangs on the gate, and then Uber comes along, and then they squeal and bite each other's bum. As for Nero and Iceman, they haven't been in together for a little bit, so they were just having a nice little mutual groom. And then Yodel and Dowdle over there, they're telling us they're running out of food, but they'll be coming out there in an hour because they're going to Mel's. So yeah, Hida literally basically comes along, stirs the pot, and then walks away. So he comes along, creates conflict, and then goes, right, I'm finished now. And then he leaves. It's the funniest thing ever. And poor little Uber just stands by the gate waiting for the conflict to begin. Yodel. Ah! And that is a common thing that absolutely all of our homebred girls do. Yolanda, Xiaokia and Nika, they are all notorious for kicking gates. Xiaokia is the worst, followed by Yodel and then Nika. They all scrape the ground a lot as well and lift their legs quite high. It's a trait within the family. And this little man is about to come and do some groundwork. And, Romain Wilson. On the inside of his leg here, there's a flat sarcoid there. And it looks almost like it's about ready to kind of come out, but it wasn't quite ready to come out because occasionally you can pop them out. So there's a remedy that's well known for sarcoids. Salt, flour and water, you just mix it together, make a paste and pop it on every day. And over time it's meant to build and do something to the sarcoid to help it go away. So I'm going to try that and see if it works. And I'll let you all know along the way. Some people swear by it. We've just never tried it before ourselves because I think most of the sarcoids we have been too, major for that. It's, for example, for Hida's, a bit of salt, flour and water wasn't really going to achieve much. But with a little flat one like Hannes's in between his legs, we'll see what it does. Exciting times, everybody. We have new feed labels for all of the feeds. This is in here now licking his little salt lick, and he's in disgrace because as I was leading into the stable, you know the anecdote I told you earlier about how he likes to get things off here? I was opening the door and I wasn't quick enough, so he knocked a mug off with his nose, smashed it and then stood on it. But it's fine because he's fine and he's not traumatized, and in all honesty he's just not affected by the incident whatsoever. There's just no remorse or no acknowledgement of the situation.
Have you sacked him?
Yeah, sorry, Hannes is
or
now...
have you given him a verbal warning?
I've given him a verbal warning and I've told him if it happens again we're telling his Auntie Amara.
Oh.
And then, after Auntie Amara, the next step up from that in
HR department.
In the disciplinary department is Freya. I know.
Honey, cover your ears.
Yeah.
Cover your ears. You can glue it back together.
It's in a bin now, Hannes.
Oh, is that?
It is. Just like my...
He doesn't like foxes.
He doesn't like them. No, he doesn't like them.
Annie.
So we're thinking of changing... Well, we're going to change our horse's diet drastically. We'll keep you posted on the matter.
I'm horrified at myself for allowing them to eat such processed stuff for too many years.
Basically...
We're conscious of our own diet, but I've been meaning to look into it for so long and haven't got round to it. But now I have. I don't like all the rubbish that's in the feed that we've been feeding. Yeah, basically much like human food, there's all sorts of kind of preservatives and bulking agents and inflammatory things that aren't the best for our horses. So it's not going to have, obviously they're all still standing and they're all healthy, but this is a better alternative. Anushka! Annie, because I know you're really unhappy with me at the moment. You need to have it soaked, darling, but the very fact that you're eating some of that and throwing it everywhere...
That's about £2, Tracy.
No, it's not. Do you approve? Is this going to be a better alternative?
So Annie's not happy because we've taken her off the hard nuts that we're feeding at the moment because of her skin.
It's a hit.
So we maybe thought if we take her off the hard feed, maybe her skin will get better because maybe it's something in the feed. So she's going to be the first one that we try on this.
And we're going to see whether it improves her skin.
Yeah, so this is, this is quite a new concept in the works, and we will keep you all posted and uploaded as to how it's going. But that's the thing.
So far.
She does. With anything, knowledge, you're constantly learning. And I think in today's modern world, there's so many more products on the market than there are now. And it's knowing what to choose. And there's also more awareness out there, you know, much like every industry. The equine nutrition industry is evolving and more awareness is developing of what is and isn't good for the horses. So this is going to be a good move. Annie, you're a disgrace. That is absolutely disgusting. Woo!
That makes me happy.
And speaking of feed related things, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to the lovely people who donated the last few tablet boxes. Leslie Jenkins, you were one of them, so thank you so much. You can see now everybody's got their little name on and they're all in here, all counted out nicely. And then here are the feeds for everyone later, which is why we need the labels, because they'll get little plastic labels. And look, Nero's even got rainbow letters. There's Mug Destroyer. And then out here we have Annie with Custard and Rhubarb, or Rhubarb and Custard, otherwise known as the not so dynamic duo, Doubtson and Yolanda. The only reason they're not so dynamic is because Doubtson's actually Annie. That was so disrespectful. You little shit. Also, you know what's disgraceful? When Tracy gave Annie the chaff earlier, they both made a gigantic mess together and then just skipped off into the sunset. Tracy skipped off that way. Annie skipped off that way. Annie, we do not bite our friends on the bum. It's just not very kind, okay? No. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Should be afraid of the spoon. Yeah. I'll ward you away with my spoon. My magical spoon. Yeah. Take that, Annie. Take that. Sorry, just wafting Annie away with a spoon there. But it had to be done to protect Doubtson's behind. Now back to why these two wouldn't be the most dynamic duo. It's because Doubtson, albeit a bit like Ice, you know, she's very athletically gifted and talented. But naturally, she walks around like this. Her head's in here, her back is hollow, her legs are like this. And she's just like, oh, admiring her surroundings. And you know, Yolanda is the muscle. And in time, she is becoming more athletical through her body. It just doesn't become naturally to her, bless her. So that's why she's not the most dynamic. But, you know, little by little, we're getting there. And I am proud of her. You know, she's doing really well considering her physical challenges. And I love her to pieces. But agility isn't something that is naturally, you know, it's not one of her natural gifts. She does have many natural gifts, though, such as her man-eating ways. And don't worry, that doesn't apply to humans, it's only the horses. What I like about Yodel is, I'd say she's firm but fair. Is she brutal? Absolutely. But is she, you know, I wouldn't say she's ever brutal unnecessarily. And it is essential that we have somebody who's going to keep the boys under control. Whereas her little sister Spesh is just a loose cannon at times. There's been times where she's been tied up here. I think it was Nero who was being led behind her by Tracy. And he just like that with his nose a little bit. Wasn't even anywhere near her, and he was fine, by the way. She didn't get him. But then all of a sudden she just lifts, and we're talking like very extreme here, the backhand comes up and she goes rah, because she's an absolute savage. Whereas Yodel would have been more dignified. She would have just maybe lifted a leg to say get away. So yeah, Spesh is a bit of a loose cannon, whereas Yodel is more dignified. You know, she's the matriarch down in the field, and the cool thing about her is she is gigantic, but she's very, very gentle with it. Big thank you to Fenton for feeding us. Although we are going to have to invest in a sign to put outside Vince digging that says do not feed the builder, just in case. But yeah, thank you. Jodie's on the dark because she's going on a health kick. Yeah, Elise is just, you know, having the full tasting menu. Freya's had a marshmallow. You know, we love and hate people who buys chocolate, I'm not going to lie. In one way, we're very grateful and we love it. And then, on the other hand, we don't love it because then we get fat.
It's a real treat, though, because it's like really good quality.
It is very nice. So thank you very much for feeding us, Diane. But yeah, we will be installing the do not feed the builder signs very soon.